Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 396th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 2nd, 2021. This is a broadcast of the Kesh Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. And I'll be a host today. My name is Rick Crammond. And as usual, we present Mr. Mayran Kesh of the Kesh Foundation, who will be presenting today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Kesh.
Good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers of the Kesh Foundation Spaceship Institute. Today, teaching is very much what we see in the background. It's about the light, about how the light is created. What is the essence of light? Why in the world of the matter state we use cars and we use donkeys and we use rocket propulsion and everything else, but in the world of creation we use light. We have spoken in other teachings about the light, but today we're going to open another dimension, another understanding of the totality. What does it mean, light? Where does it come from? What is the essence of it? Why do we use it as a means of transportation? Why do we use it as a new system of transmutation? In a way, in the world of the matter state, we create converters. We convert one energy to another. We go from a car to a bicycle, to a donkey, to whatever means, to move from one position to another. In the present world of electronics and computer, we use fiberglass. We use rapid information data as noise. We use different form of the lights in a matter state. But what's the difference between the light in the universal cosmic direction and unicos and the light to the eye of the man? What would be the future of the man when he travels in the dimension of the soul? Would we still see the white light? Or would we see light? Or will we explain light as means of transportation and transmutation? We look at it as a position at the moment that as it's there we can see, allows our vision to be aware of the environment. But light in the mode of the creation is a means of transport. It's a means of positioning from one place to another. It's a means of understanding the totality of the creation and its positioning in the universe. We call the light when he appears as the daytime. We call the light when he appears on a light bulb. But in the world of creation, light is totally different. Light is means of going from A to B at the fastest time to make it zero time. We see light as a ray, or we see light as a particle. In fact, in the world of creation, we have both. In the unicos, we can become a light. We can transport billions of tons of matter state in man's dimension in the capsule of light. But we have not managed to understand, truly define, to comprehend the structure of the light. In book number 2, I tried to open the subject that the light is a cylindrical plasma. In a way, whatever you put in cylinder and be able to transmute it, you will reach to the point where you want. We create the light in the world of creation, not light to be created as an out of interaction. We become part of that light. We enter that cylinder and we transmute with it. In the coming weeks, by the opening of the exhibition center in Linz, we will show you the first, what we call transmutation systems. We show how we transfer the body of the man as a light from one to another. How we structure the body to become in that capsule, and then we move the capsule. If you read some of the papers written in the past, we always said, if we can make a box of nanomatters, doesn't matter what we put in the box. It's like an envelope. Do you put a love letter? Do you put a note? Or do you put money in it? It's the envelope which carries it. And mankind and the scientific world has come to understand light is that envelope. How do you want it to move? But with a difference that with the light, you have to position the destination that it can arrive at that point. It's very much like a satellite. You have a digital number, it ends up on the mobile phone you carry, it doesn't matter where you are on Earth. We need to use the GPS of the other unicauses as the position of the interference and interaction within a universe. And then we use a unicause itself as a satellite for the position of one universe to another. In time, mankind will learn this. We travel the span of the unicause this way. We don't have satellites. We use other universes, dimension and interaction with other universes as a means of transportation satellite system. It means we use the interaction of the one to reach to the other what is not on the line of the view or line of interaction. In a way, it's very much as you travel to go from one place on Earth, you have to stop or refuel, or you certainly divert to another position. It's the same way. Mankind has got to learn. The satellite present time which is made is limited to the height from the Earth. Once mankind become wise to it, it will use the structure of the fields of the moon for navigation, for transmutation, for transportation. It will use the fields of the nearest stars to create a condition of the position and point. It uses multitudes of the stars to create a point in the universe where he wants to be. And we do all these with light references and life packages, which means we have become mature enough to understand that the light in the world of creation is a means of transportation. It's a means of being able to transport, and within the structure of the transportation, to add or to take energies from it, to call it a transmutation, where you enter one energy as a gold and you transmute it to silver or to copper, or vice versa. Again, all this has to be done in reference to the points of the energies of the light within the structure of the universe. This is why in the technologies which will be introduced in a gradual way, and on the 6th of June next year as we endeavor to go to moon, we use these means of transportation. In the Keshe Foundation Research Centers, we are developing the first stages of what we call transmutation systems. We hope that you will see the first ones by the opening or the earliest stages of opening of the Linz Exhibition Center. It's not a dream. It's not something to be, the system is on the table. The system is getting developed that for man to understand. Systems where you enter a box and you transmute or transport yourself to a new condition in another box, in another position. These things used to be the, what I call fantasies of sci-fi movies. Now it has become a reality. And for man to understand the reality, he has to understand we cannot carry the man in every cell of heart, the brain, the suitcase you carry. But we put man in a package of fields. We compress it to the light dimension. We stretch it to the point that it can accommodate the totality as energy. And at the point of arrival, we reverse the condition. Or we allow the point of arrival condition to dictate the manifestation. The structure of the light has a totally different meaning in the world of creation. We start teaching these as now we reach the point of maturity of the knowledge, to the extent that man can see more and nothing becomes magic. Transmutation of the energy to energy of the emotion and the soul is already on the table. We have seen the first results in past few days. We can enter in the field of plasma and change it to the dimension of the emotion within the body of the man. The same, this transmutation can be made in a point of transportation where we understand what our soul will do on the point of arrival. Do we need to separate the soul or embed the soul of physicality within the soul of the man to transmute it? Or do we expand it in a new transportation systems that the soul itself become the light, as we've seen it? But why do we see the soul as a light? What's the reason for it? Why do we see a sun as a light? And what's the reason for it? Mankind has up to now looked at the structure of the light in a total different way, in a matter state. But what happened when we look at the light in the dimension of the soul, in the dimension of the transmutation, in the dimension of transportation? Then would your soul manifest itself in the dimension of the light at the point of the vision of the man, or at the strength of the soul of the creation? Would every other soul, which is observant of the transportation of the soul from one point to another, will see the light in a different color, different structure, different speed, depending if it's sublight or is above that light bandwidth? Would our soul and the soul of all those who live within the universe appears as one type of light? Or by the shape of the light, by the extension of the fields of its strength, we can say where that light comes from. Our soul recognizes it. Our soul understands its position, its strength, its emotion. We know this as we do it so often within the structure of the soul of the man, within the dimension of physicality of the emotion. In one instance, we get emotional. And in one instance, through emotion, we elevate our souls. We decide to change the physicality in one position, in 1 second, through emotion, we feel, I want to die. And we trigger that point through the light of the emotion, through the dimension of soul of physicality, and we create MS, ILS, and all other diseases. Then mankind has to understand the purpose of the light, the purpose of the transmutation beyond the dimension of the physicality. If you have not understood up to now, maybe you understand in a simple example. In your gas production systems, you change the matter to nano. And then in another condition of environment, you change it to a plasma. It's the same with the dimension of the light. In one strength, we change it to what we call transportation, transmutation. And in another strength, it becomes a photon. It becomes that which means I carry none, but I'm just the energy carrier. When it's a photon, it means a carrier. And when the world of science understands this, man will choose a new mode, a new ways of transportation. Rockets and jumbo jets become obsolete, where the man will learn new ways to package or to send the message as an energy. Then what has been a fallacy that the speed of light is the ultimate speed becomes absolute nonsense. because then you decide at what strength of the soul, at what strength of the light you want to transport and transmute according to the environment of the entity. Mankind needs a lot of kindness to understand how foolishly he has trapped himself in this world of light. And when the mankind understands that the purpose of the light is another mode of transportation, he will understand that he has a new tool, a new dimension, a new way to move, or a new way to package itself. You see the UFOs and you see them to appear as light. It's not only that they interact with the interaction of their fields with the environment, but they envelop themselves in a new dimension, a new package. Then they can travel the speed of the lights of the universe, which is totally different than light the man knows. If the man goes deeper in the strength of his soul, he will see the lights of the universe. He will understand the knowledge of the creation. But as we said, man is too physical. Man has chosen the dimension of physicality because it's much easier. I taste it, I touch it, I visualize it. Where the taste and the touch and visualization in the dimension of the light, in the dimension of the work of the universe, is much sweeter. It's much, much easier. It's much more applicable and does not need to destroy and dig core from the depth of this planet or use nuclear technology. Nuclear technology is the opening of the knowledge of the man to the universe. But nuclear in the dimension of the plasma is totally different. Maybe now we understand, as we said, in the new series of negotiations, we offer Iran the fastest centrifuge for plutonium, uranium, as a gift, as a souvenir to the other nations. As we have unraveled the secret of the creation of the transportation and transmutation in the dimension of the light. Let the children play with the toys, while the men create a new dimension of the knowledge and technology. In the coming time, mankind should be traveling the span of the universe, irrespective of wherever he could be, as he gains the knowledge to make himself the light at any point as he wishes to, and at the speed he wishes to. The fallacy of the weightlessness becomes the fallacy of understanding no knowledge. The true knowledge of creation, no subject, no object traveling at the speed of light ever exists the dimension of no control, what you call weightlessness. Mankind have not understood that he can create the inertial weight and mass, even at the speed of light. We can compress the collection of different strength lights to become one within each other, that they keep the stability of totality. In the new enhancement units for transportation and transmutation, that's what we do. We compress the fields to make a plasma into a cylinder. And then the dimension and the strength of the light will manifest itself. In the new enhancement system that you will see in this in coming time is very much the way the universe works. We don't see rotating condition in the body of the man as we see in the rotation of the object. When a plasma decides to rotate, to manifest itself in a dimension of the matter state like the sun, the light on its own is the creation of interaction of its fields with its own matter condition and the fields of the universe. When mankind travels in the dimension of the light of the universe, he shall not see any stars. He will not see any state of matter as is above. In a way, you're a neutrino. You become a neutrino, which means you become neutron on your own, but the strength of the neutron of the universe, not the strength of the neutron in the dimension of the earth and this universe. Understanding the concept of the light is an amazing knowledge which will mature man to a new dimension. Will mature man to understand you can, even with the light of emotion, enlighten the whole of the universe, let alone the knowledge of a man. In so many ways, mankind will enter a new dimension of transportation and transmutation with the knowledge of the soul, which means at a higher order strength light, not at the light of the body of the man. When you manifest yourself, when you're seen as an object, as a human, you still are in the condition of the light of the physicality of the matter state strength of this planet. Even the soul of the physicality of the man can elevate itself to become the light itself without interaction with the soul. We can extend the field strength of the soul of physicality that we become invisible without the presence or interaction with the soul of the man, but in interaction with the environmental field energies of the light of the position and dimension. 1 minute you see me, 1 minute you don't. Because I transfer my strength to the dimension of the fields of the environment, that I become part of it. I become transparent through it. In a coming time, the knowledge of light will become the cornerstone of the evolution and gaining knowledge for the man, because we will learn the knowledge in the dimension of the light, in the dimension of emotion of the light. Each light, its position, its speed, its character, has the emotion of itself. Mankind in the coming time will learn to work within these structures. The first part of this process has already started, and it will go on for a time to come. In so many ways, mankind has to learn to work within the new dimension, within the new structure, within the understanding of the process of the creation and the creator. The soul of the creator does not reach the soul of the man through the engines and rockets, but through the light. The means of transportation within the dimension of magnetic fields. The means of transportation within the structure of the universe. In the body of the man, we carry the physicality of the man to be one point another, but we send the voice of the man to represent the man in the other. The voice of the man is what we call photon, when it carries the physicality of the man. But when he appears with the sound itself, is nothing but energy. In the time to come, mankind will learn the process of the conversion of one, or what we call fraction of one, to be both at the same time. The sound, the knowledge, and at the same time the physicality. We talk, we confirm our information and what we think. In the dimension of the light, a fraction of the light at a given time and position will be illuminated, that it transfers the knowledge, but the physicality of the structure will stay within what we call the particle. In a coming time, the knowledge of the position and time will be dictated by the emotion of the soul, by the emotion of the light, by the emotion of the interaction of the light with its dimension and position. How do we do this? How does mankind will lead itself to use its soul or the light as a means of transportation and transmutation than the physicality of the man? in the world of the science today, you put the physicality under the pressure and reduce its dimension. In the world of the creation of the light, you can do the same. But you have to understand that the pressure has to come from the willingness of both field and acceptance of both that accommodates one to the other. Which means you create a field strength through the soul of the physicality that allows the soul of the man to extend itself into the cylinder, that within that position will take the dimension of physicality within it as it increases its strength. In a way, we create a compression through the plasmatic magnetic field to allow a sphere to change into a cylinder. And mankind will learn that he can do this with the beauty of his soul, of his physicality. Which means we use the soul of physicality to create the fields that allows to engage itself and engage the soul of the man at the same time, but use the higher strength fields of the soul to create a dimension of light to transmute itself across the universe. Go back to the paper which we released, which was published by the Iranian Sepah on the 10th of February of this year. It says, with the new plasma technology of the Keshe Foundation, man will travel to moon in 1 minute. Which means the nuclear physicists and plasma physicists in Iran have already understood the concept and the principle. Now we have to teach this to the rest of humanity. Then you understand, on the 6th of June, for those scientists and organizations who have evolved to that knowledge level, they don't need 1 day return. They need 1 minute return to moon and back. The understanding of the concept, the understanding of the process of transmutation through the light, transportation through the light, understanding of the knowledge through the light, to be enlightened by the light will become the new, what are called territories for man to exploit, to understand how to convert every entity to a light or the soul or the essence of its field structure. That's what the light is. And then in interaction of these fields in the environment, besides the color, the shape, the knowledge, the entity, which that specific particle carries. In a way, we all can become neutrinos to the souls which do not understand our work, or the others can become the neutrinos to us, that at the point of interaction of the right fields, we can convert them into the soul of the physicality in that position and dimension. Go back to the teachings of some years ago, where I said, in the future, man will give his souls to the captains of the spaceships to transmute, and not the physicality. Then the soul of the captain transmutes and transports these souls within his souls as a separate entity, and at the point of arrival, like a messenger, like a postman delivers. And how that soul will take shape and dimension is of the structure of the field strength of the time and position. Mankind has to learn the compression of the fields of the plasma. Not the way it's done in CERN, the childish way. Remember, birds fly with birds, and foxes walk with foxes. When you work with plasma in the dimension of the transmutation and separation or the speed of light, you have to use the field compression of the plasma. You cannot use electromagnetic fields enforced with the current to compress a plasma which has a different dimensional fields. It's like using a bread to put a nail in the wood. Does not work. It's got holes in it. It's got scientific data, what we call misunderstanding of a knowledge in it. This is why what we've seen with tokamaks and the CERN is full of flaws. It's a dream which will never come true to understand in more detail the work of the universe. When the scientists create a dynamic magnetic plasmatic fields which can gain strength, then they can create the condition of the interaction and the fusion of the plasmas, which the planet Earth does on a daily basis when the energy packages of the upper atmosphere transforms and becomes matter state with interaction fields of the inertia of the matter state. Our scientists have not understood this. We see the same thing in CERN. They are using electromagnetic fields, which is the weakest, and they're trying to compress to create this because they see some pushes and some speeds, they think they gain something. But they haven't understood to create the condition of the transmutation and transportation and even separation of plasma, you need to use appropriate plasmatic fields. Then man enters a new dimension of science and technology of the universe. How do you want to push a truck with a baby in Pampers? The strength is not there because the concept has not been understood. And this is exactly what we see in the present nuclear science technology and in what we call the rest of the rigma. We've seen how plasma is used and how mankind is trying to achieve something which is actually going backwards than going forward. In the coming time, in the transportation and transmutation systems, which you will see, we teach you how to create the dimension of plasmatic compression that allows to interact in a correct way with the plasma of the soul of the man, with the plasma of the soul of physicality of the man, with the plasma of the every gans cell of the body of the man, that it allows the transportation and transmutation. How do we package it? How do we envelope it? How do we seal it that it doesn't leak from one point to another and we don't get half of the entity dispersed across the universe what was traveling? This is the knowledge that the man needs to gain in a very rapid way, as we cannot wait for the next process. Then we understand the new light, the new interaction of the light, the new understanding of the transportation of the light depends on how rapid he will be able to understand the work of the plasmas of different strengths. Then, if you reach, as we said many times, to go to inner strength sanctum of the plasma, then you can even travel at the speed of the light of the Creator. This is part of what has not been understood, and this is a part of the gathering of knowledge from man over thousands of years, millions of years in bits and bits. Now we put the knowledge together in Mongol, that in the space, man directly will have the knowledge of transportation and transmutation at the same time, at the same place, in understanding the totality of the interaction of the fields of different strengths, different position and time in the universe. So what is the light to you? And what is the light to me? And how well are we enlightened? Would mankind be able to create a plasmatic compression that leads to the compression and release of the soul? Or would we create systems that by transformation and transportation of the fields of the matter state in the Ganser state, we create the impression and compression of the emotion, that with it we can reach the soul. And with it, if we interact deep enough, we can interact with the soul of the others. In a way, we used to go into the telephone box and pick a phone up to speak to somebody across the world. Would that be that our physical dimension which becomes that telephone box? And with it, through it, we can transmute and transport and create a light to reach the soul of every entity across this universe without ever leaving the physical dimension. But how much can we transfer energies in the light dimension to our soul, that the soul carries and creates the dimension of the communication and feelings? The problem with us is that we have encaged this, what we call plasma, in a cage with a lot of holes. And we have not managed to engage it and engage it in totality, that we decide how and where, in which hole it will transmute and transport itself. I want to see my son in the other galaxy. I need to create the dimension of the strength of his soul. The dimension of the strength and the position and a given time does not matter if he's in a physical dimension or he has already taken shape in the dimension of the plasma of the universe. Mankind, in a very short time, will come to understand the new technology of the space and technology, understanding the science of the creation of plasma, understanding the control of the plasmatic fields of his own soul. And in that process, mankind will mature to understand and see the light of the Creator. We have no choice. Once we enter into the cylindrical condition of the mode of the transportation, we become part of the system. We become part of the what we call a structure, that within it and through it, we shall see everything. And the knowledge become universal knowledge. And then mankind does not need universities and colleges to educate itself in a matter state level, as he become knowledgeable to the knowledge of the universe. And then you understand, as I said many times, I made man in the image of myself. I am the image, and the man is the creator. And then man is the image, I am the creator. In that process, mankind will understand how, as a light, as a photon, as a particle, he is everything as the creator has been. It's just that he did not have the knowledge to understand that it's him within him. In the coming time, in the process of the evolution of the science into the dimension of the plasma, many of you will wonder why and how for so long mankind got embedded in this dogma of physicality. How did we manage to devalue our knowledge of the universe to the knowledge of the matter? And now we're trying to go back into the knowledge of the universe. Where did we lose the link? Where did we lose the knowledge? And why did we have to go through this process to become? Or are we a new creatures created out of the knowledge that in that process we have to learn the new understanding? This is not new, but new for us. It's become as part of the education and knowledge of the man in a dimension of the creation and the creator, where both sits within the same. Now, how many of you including the teachings of past 3-4 weeks, can create that compression and create the new dimension in the structure of the light. Go back and look at all the new ganses and new ways of the structure I have taught you in past 2 or 3 weeks with different connections, and see what have you missed. And see how you can use those to become the creator of the light. And see if you can create a light which is the strength of your soul, that in that process allows you to become the photon and not the particle. And in time to come, you become the particle, not the photon. The whole teaching of past few weeks leads you to one direction, to the direction of understanding not only to be one, and how to transport and transmute to another and become another or the same. As I said, this book 1, you go from the matter state through the light to become the plasma, to become the soul. Or you come from book 3, which is the soul, transmute through the light to become the matter. The whole process is you in where you're sitting. On the book number 1, you want to go to the book number 2, or through it through book number 3, or the same from 3 to 2 to 1. In either case, you need the light. In either case, mankind should have understood when we released the books, it was the principle of the knowledge of the transportation of the universe, and not light as you see it as a daylight. It was introducing the process of the transmutation and transportation in the universe, where man manages to transform his field of matter state into a plasma, as a gans, and engage it and make it as one particle and transfer to the other dimension of total energy in that process, which we call the plasma, the universe. In understanding this process, now we go back to the same thing. Now you understand why the 3 books were released. Every knowledge of the creation is within it. It depends on the level of understanding. As what we said, you take according to your understanding from this technology. And those of you who want to go to the dimension of transportation and transmutation through the light, look in within. Look in with understanding the principle of the interaction of the fields and not the matter state. It's the fields which creates the plasma. It's the fields which creates that cage. It's the fields which creates the condition of matter state. It's you who have to understand in what field of strength you want to be, or to travel with, or to manifest yourself, or to be at the energy level. The process of the teaching has become very simple. The hardest thing is for the knowledge seekers to understand how to gather these energies together to be able to be in the dimension of the soul, or what we call energy, or the dimension of physicality, what we call the matter state, or plasmatic state of gans, or to be in a dimension of traveling from one to the other. But the beauty of it is that you can live within all the 3 states at the same time, in the same place. It's for you to understand how to unravel the mystery of change, the strength, and the composition of the fields. Now we understand that mankind is ready for the next phase of its life, not in the dimension of the donkeys and the carts and the cars and the jet engine and rocket propulsion, but in the one understanding of totality of the transportation through the interaction of the fields of the universe in the plasma condition. This is a new tool of transportation for mankind. And he has to understand it. He needs to understand it to become that neutrino that manifests itself anywhere in the universe where it needs to release its fields in respect to its environment to manifest itself. Maybe our knowledge seekers understand more. Those of you who are enlightened to this dimension will comprehend more where the teachings are going and what is expected of you. With this technology, all lights will be the same, and we shall not see a false claims of a leadership or a kingship to the other, as all the lights are the same. And in that process, maybe mankind become ready to enter the next phase after what he up to now understood to be the point of the Creator, as there is more in the dimension of the creation than the Creator. And one day, man will enter that dimension and then will open his eyes to a bigger dimension to understand the totality of the creation, and will see the whole of creation in the eye of the plasma, in the eye of the creation of the field strength, and understands even the life of the Creator. The fields which led to its creation, and the reasons for its creation that they led to our creation as interaction of its fields. But mankind is not at that point of understanding at this point of time. But we open the door for him to understand that in the future there is more to knowledge and life beyond the life of the Creator. But mankind is not knowledgeable yet, and is too in dogma of its own way of belief through different religions, and to understand that even the Creator has the emotion of religion, if you call it that. Which means there is a bigger dimension in the dimension of the existence. I made man in the image of myself. The emotion of belonging, to be part of, exists within even the Creator. Then mankind will come to understand there is a long way to understand the totality of the knowledge of the universe and creation. Maybe one day I will explain that to those of the knowledge seekers who have reached the point of understanding that there is a life even bigger than one the man called the life of the Creator, the God. Has been hidden from the eye of the man, as man even had a problem to understand there is only one God. Now we try to explain the next step, it will become very much different. It's in the writing of the 7 valleys. Mankind has not even entered the first valley, let alone wanting to understand what is beyond the first valley, that it needs understanding of the totality of the knowledge of the creation of the Creator. And that all lies within the strength of the light transmutation with the dimension of higher strength within the creation and the Creator. One day I might explain. But I hope at that time mankind will be ready to understand the truth about the Creator of the aspect to its creation. We called it the book number 8, The Origin of the Magnetic Fields, which its origin goes beyond the understanding of the fields of the creation of the Creator. One day, the whole of Unicos will come to understand that its creation was to manifest itself to another Creator and to be part of. And in a way, even the Unicos becomes part of a bigger structure that it has been constructed out of. So what we see as the total energy of all this universe and Unicosmos is a speck of dust in the totality of the condition of the creation, where the totality embeds within it the knowledge of understanding emotion at a higher level, beyond the present understanding of even the citizens of the universe. Maybe one day mankind become mature to reach to that point that he can go from the first to the second, very much as man is trying to get out of this earth just to peep through and be able to live within the solar system, as at the moment he cannot even imagine he can live in the galaxies and universes, and find himself lost, as he cannot carry enough food and enough oxygen to even to get to moon and back. When you live in the dimension of the fields, there shall be never shortage of anything, as you can tap into the universal fields of different strength, different structures, and different understanding. I hope today I open your eyes to a new world of existence, new world of transportation, and a new understanding of the creation, and a new way that in a coming time, many of you will start to think, to travel, and to exist. You will see the first series of the transmutation systems in Linz, and these systems become historical, as many of you and the knowledge of the man in collaboration and conjunction with the citizens of the universe will bring new understanding to everything that man thought he has understood up to now, and has become what we call the most intelligent being on this planet. Maybe the trees understood these long before the man does, but they never confess to their knowledge. Maybe the animals in the dimension understood the source of creation more than man does with his words and his actions. Now, from now on, we have to understand, we consider the light as a process of transportation. We understand the light as a system of transportation, and we try to develop, as man is his habit, technologies to be able to replicate the process of the movement, creation, and the deposition of this energy we call light. In the coming time, we introduce much more in depth the process of it. But you have to remember one point. In all factors, in all divisions, the light, even the light has a heartbeat. Even the light possesses the condition of understanding, of synchronizing his work in between his gravitational and magnetic field balance that leads to creation of his existence, and by tuning to the heartbeat of the time and position, will become that entity at that time and position anywhere in the universe. Then the heartbeat of the plasma dictates the heartbeat of the man, and then it dictates the manifestation of the presence of the man. And when the heartbeat of the man stops, the man stops at the point of death. Then maybe you understand why everything depends on the creation and control of understanding the rhythmic interaction at any point, and the strength of the fields of the magnetical and gravitational in respect to each other. What I receive and what I give as a check mark and checkbook at every strength. And at that strength point, I decide the point of manifestation. I hope I taught you a lot today. I hope you understood a lot today. I hope mankind will come to understand as of today, a new method of transportation is open to man. And the systems for it is under development within the Keshe Foundation Research Centers. In the coming time, we'll show you, we'll make you packages of fields, and we transmute you in a field of strength, not as a suitcase, as a skin, or as a clothing and the body of the man. Thank you very much for today. The knowledge given to you today is much more than ever mankind could imagine, could understand. But in so many ways, needs a man to understand the knowledge. Otherwise, it's another fairy tale. It's another thing that is for the others and not for me. And if you are knowledge seekers here, it's the reason you are here, and it's for you, and you have to understand. If you are here to become the passengers of the universe, to live without suffering, to understand the emotion of the soul that does not create the failure of the physicality. Thank you very much, Rick. If you would like to go on a break and we come back, and hopefully our knowledge seekers concentrate on this and asking for whatever this and that. Would you like to go on a break, Rick?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll take a short break here and short commercial break as we look at some of the ads from the Keshe Foundation store. And we'll